It's the Seth Stroud Show. Hey.
Hello, Seth.
Hello. Hey, guys, I failed to ask before. Are we keeping anonymity for this project? Because I can cut the recording from before this point. But it's totally up to you guys. And I love that it's a panel interview. It makes it easier for people to kind of latch on to something, right? That and especially when it's a proper developer interview and it's not just a bunch of like face men, that helps.
I'll do it. Why not? You gonna do it, Rizman?
Fuck it, I'll do it if you want to.
Oh, yeah.
Crypto Rex is the sexy one, so you just put on him the entire time. all the other one of us are not good looking.
Everyone's great looking.
So look at that.
Don't sell yourself short. It's all about confidence, right? How does Mick Jagger get away with the feather boa? Confidence. Welcome to another episode where I'm interviewing another awesome coin project. I have with me not one, not two, but three of the core team from BitcoinZ. Gentlemen, introduce yourselves, if you wouldn't mind, one at a time.
My first name is Abel, by the way. I think I've shared that enough times. So I basically came onto the project because I saw it in the end, like most projects are seen, and I wanted to learn how to launch an Explorer. So I did that. I didn't know what I was, really, I had never done it before, and I was interested in learning how to do it. And I forked I think it's called the Equidius Explorer code base. Equidius, and I got that up and running, and then from that point on, that's what it became the Explorer to go to for the beginning of the project.
Abel, welcome to the show. The alias Crypto Rex, infamous for some excellent content on YouTube and for the community. Welcome on the show. We've got two others with you.
Yeah, so I'm Reduza. I dev. So I pretty much have been in open source software for, I think, close to 20 years.
Nice.
Work for an open source company. One of the so it's kind of like cryptocurrencies to me, and the whole community thing is something that I really enjoy throughout my entire career. So it's kind of like how I latched on it. This is the first BitcoinZ was the first coin project I got involved in. So I am kind of, I guess, new to the scene as well. But I've been developing for quite a while.
Sorry.
Yeah, very, very cool. Hey, we got Rizman.
Oh, cool. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, about what? Sleeveless shirts are in, bro. Come on.
That's right, man.
All right, so we got Rizman in the house as well. I think we had some technical difficulties before getting you onto the live stream. Wow. Okay, we got one more person. This went out to literally everyone, didn't it?
Yes. Here we go.
Oh my gosh, guys, it's a
fun
party. BitcoinZ, I have a feeling we're gonna have a fun time tonight.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
Awesome. So we got Rizman also, and then one last one. Go ahead, Rizman, introduce yourself if you don't mind.
What's up, guys? Rizman, the end.
Rizman, and I like to party.
Yeah,
It's the least partying of us all, probably.
Yeah, pretty much. Married life.
Ooh. Yeah. I know that feel, bro. I know that feel. That's why I got the office here, away from the house. So awesome. And then we got one last guest for this particular team interview, and I don't want to murder the name, and I also don't want to give away an alias if you want to introduce yourself, but it starts with a B. You know who you are.
What's up? My name is Bishoy. I'm also known as Equipool.
Nice. Bishoy, welcome to the show. Guys, I love that we're doing a panel interview. Let me see if I can do the Brady Bunch presentation here, because Zoom does that. You know the one I'm talking about. Oh, come on. Maybe it won't let me do it. It might not let me do it. I think it's only going to show active speaker for right now. Anyway, I can see you guys. You should be able to see everybody stacked on top of each other too. So the nature of this interview series is that there's so many coin projects. There's so many like worthy coin projects, right? That just don't get a whole lot of exposure. And then when they finally reach out to collaborators on YouTube or anywhere else, it's like, yeah, no problem. I can do that for you. What's the bounty, right? Or they name a price. And I kind of thought, well, we're kind of getting cheated as a community. We're waiting for miners. We're waiting for content creators on YouTube to randomly discover stuff and then maybe tell their own private communities. And so there's not a whole lot of love being given to really any of the projects. And there's not a whole lot of understanding being given to projects that have been around for a little while And then sure, they've got their own content channels, they've got their own forums, and there's plenty that they're saying, but there's not a whole lot of third-party validation, if that makes sense, through reviews and interviews. And so I thought we kind of need that. Like, we kind of need more of that without it being pay to play. So I'm reaching out to so many teams. And right now with ASIC resistance being the thing, right? So many teams just getting hit where it hurts and not seeing it coming, kind of sucker punched by ASICs. That's a big topic right now. So we're going to talk a bit about proof of work, talk a bit about ASIC resistance, whether or not that's an important thing, and kind of what the team's thoughts are. Since we got 4 of you here, maybe we'll have some dissent. Maybe everyone thinks exactly the same. I don't know.
I will say at least Renuza and I will disagree on things. So.
and I'll add that it's fun to see when they disagree. It's really interesting to see.
Awesome. Well, hey, I'm counting on it. Counting on it, guys. So let's do this. Let's pretend like you're in front of a VC panel right now, right? Like my viewers, let's pretend like my audience is a VC panel, right? So you're in Silicon Valley today and you are pitching for this project. First thing the panel asks you, all right, gentlemen, what's the real problem here? What did you really try to solve by making this coin?
Yeah, so we want to make a coin that everybody can use. So there are actually people want to use. I think the biggest problem right now in crypto is everybody wants to hodl and then hold it. But then the biggest advantage that we have is we have a lot of coins that we give you. It's kind of fun, but we think that encourages people to actually spend it, and so like that's probably what we want to do the most. We also want to be the best project, so that you can find in the crypto space.
Awesome. So best in which way? Because we know there's a lot of pain from other projects, right? We talked to Roger Ver, and it was about block size, right? Like block size was you talked to one project versus another. Block size was broken. No, it wasn't broken. This was broken. What was broken? Like, what was the pain? What are you guys trying to solve there?
Yeah, so it's definitely just the usability problem. So the user experience. Crypto is very hard to use, and so we're trying to do our best effort of making it easy. And we've got some wallets that are just easy to use, and as well that also include privacy and stuff like that.
Nice. And what's the mechanism for privacy that BitcoinZ uses? And pardon my ignorance, a lot of it is due to the fact that I'm not really familiar with BitcoinZ, but let's also pretend like I'm actually asking this on behalf of my audience. Yeah, they're the dummies, not me.
So we use ZK Snarks right now, it's not all the ways on. You can select whether or not you want privacy or you want to be transparent about your transactions.
Okay, and so as far as selecting it, this is not like Verge's like, hey, do you want Tor, or do you want not Tor?
Yeah,
this is ZK Snarks, right? So we're talking about real privacy.
You see, like when you look at our Explorer, you just see coins created and then coins disappear, and so you have no idea who they went to. There's zero. There's just nothing. There's no trace. We're definitely talking about upgrading the mechanism behind it as well to ZK Snarks, ZK Starks. Yeah, and so that's kind of one of our next move that we do as far as privacy.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about that just a minute here. I love that you brought that up. So this is new, right? So will this be sort of first to market as far as ZK Starks? And again, pardon my ignorance, is this an internal term, or is this is this something that I just kind of missed? I missed the memo on ZK Starks. What does it stand for?
So ZK Starks is something it's basically the next generation from Zcash, and so it's just another protocol for doing privacy.
Nice. Okay, so it's literally just me missing the memo. I apologize. I tuned out big time with the Zcash community when Zuko went on record kind of dismissing ASICs out of hand. I apologize. And I was kind of vocal about it in their forum too, sort of like, hey, it's not so much that we need you to be anti-ASIC, but we kind of need you to say whether you are or not, like say anything or take on these, some of the concerns of his community about like, hey, well, clearly Bitmain talked about it. There were rumors about ASICs. And so I kind of tuned out after that, like, maybe this isn't the right place for me to be as somebody who's reviewing GPU mineable coins, and put my focus elsewhere. So Awesome. So ZK Starks are the next evolution. Is this going to be like, how closely aligned are you with the Zcash project or Z Classic? Where did you fork from, or what was the genesis of the BitcoinZ blockchain?
Yeah, so we use we primarily use the Zcash fork. So we kind of started from there, and of course now we're on our own algorithm that we helped create called Z Hash, which is it's basically an anti-Asic algorithm, and so we try to keep it up as far as with the updates for Zcash as well, because we, they do a pretty good job of the stuff. We just don't have any developer fees or any of the stuff that we kind of see as negative.
Nice. So as far as the first specific problem that you wanted to solve when forking from Zcash and creating BitcoinZ, what was the first, just from an engineering standpoint, you forked and you said, okay, from a granular level, this is the order of operations. This comes first. Got to fix this.
If I may actually clarify, so the four of us, we weren't included in the original launch. There was a guy, an anonymous developer named Andev, who actually did the fork. He put it out there as a gift to the world. And then all four of us joined at random times, and then we just kind of became the core team. And there's more of us actually that aren't here in the video. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify that we're not like the original creators of the coin.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate the clarification. And you're sure that it wasn't like what is it, Whale Panda? He wasn't like messing with you. It wasn't a Litecoin Cash kind of thing. It's not really a joke.
We have no idea who Andev is, but we all suspect each other are Andev. So
got it. Okay, so has a drinking game developed from this yet about like who is Andev?
We've yet to meet the drink on it.
Okay, got it. I was going to say, because I can imagine it's the sort of thing that people make up drinking games for. Here's the thing. You can make up a game like that, and I'm never going to participate. Lifetime teetotaler. I'm so boring. But I can see people doing that.
Like I can add to the a bit to the foundation or the founding principles of it. I think what attracted me early on to the project was when you asked about problems to solve. I think there's a lot of psychology involved in the way the politics work behind the coin teams and the projects and what they're trying to solve. I've been advocating since I kind of put this together and compiled it. It's that we are probably the cleanest coin out there in terms of no ICO, no dev fees. We started from block one. We don't. We have a somewhat of a community involved voting system where, community has a voice to the best extent that we can without people just kind of, arguing with each other and kind of making a toxic environment. But we pride ourselves on that, on making it kind of really, really clean. Nobody owns it. Decentralized is an overused term, but it's appropriate to use here because none of us own the infrastructure, so to speak, to the point where if somebody, unplugs it, we're done with. We can migrate. We have all access to the infrastructure, the domain system, so on and so forth. And that's the core of what we're trying to solve is we're pushing the limits of decentralization so that people can own their own coins and not rely solely on a couple of people to keep the chain going, right?
Okay,
so
awesome.
That's really the most of the fundamentals we're trying to accelerate.
Okay, very, very cool. So the genesis of the project was the Genesis block. You wanted to start clean, no pre-mine, no ICO,
yep.
And make sure that governance is in the hands of miners, node operators, etc.
Yeah,
cool.
It's really why we're all here. Not one of us is the dev. Like we don't have like a lead dev. We have a community that kind of makes all the decisions, and we have a voting process that kind of goes in place. We have peer reviews pretty much on everything that we do, and so it's very much a joint effort type of thing. It's not like we don't have a dictatorship in this coin.
Nice.
Yeah, in much the same way as Anonymous, anybody who wants to be something can be something. So if I say I'm a developer and I want to contribute, I can contribute. There's no development team. It's a community. Everybody can do their part. Whatever you're good at, you're welcome to do it. Nobody's going to stop you.
Very, very cool. So I definitely get the. I heard open source development is is a shared pastime then for most of the team? Because this is like the spirit of open source.
Yeah. So I mean, I work for an open source company, so it's pretty much all I do. It's definitely something I believed in. I've been since I was 16. I've been pretty much using Linux and doing that, and close to 40 now. So it's been pretty much it's the only thing I've ever supported. So
nice. So you were, I mean, OG with the Linux. I mean, we're talking like early kernels. Then I'm doing the math in my head because we're basically the same age.
When back then we had to connect with modems to the internet, and we had to actually write a script to get the modem to connect to the.
I remember it totally blew.
Yeah, it was awful. It was the first time I ever programmed, just to get my thing online, and that's kind of where I started.
Nice. I'm super into media production, so for me it was Amiga. It was Amiga OS. Thanks, Commodore.
Commodore 64.
Yeah, gone too soon. But
comma 8, comma 1.
Awesome. So guys, let me ask it. Well, let's try to spread the love here as far as some Q&A. So I'm just gonna pick on Rizman. Sorry, brother.
Yeah, go for it, man.
So let's ask. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Loud and clear. Okay. So let's ask a little bit about new problems that the team kind of wants to solve right now collectively. Where's the team at as far as roadmap and kind of the next thing in the order of operations?
That's going to be that is a good question, though. That's where are we at on it? That has been really, I feel like it's been what is the word I'm looking for? A living organism, so to speak, in regards to where it's going with it. A lot of the things that we want to see actually driven forth is adoption. Like right now, it's and that's something for me. I look at it as like adoption in regards to commerce, getting it out there, getting real world use for the coin, not just it's a trading or a instrument of a store of wealth, something like that. So that's really where we're trying to go with that. I think as a collective unit is trying to get functions and things out there that will actually feed the use, start getting some velocity in the coin to get it out there, get it moved around, get it used.
Awesome. So, okay. So what are some concrete steps and projects and subtasks that the core team is working on right now? I say core team, but you know what I'm talking about. People who are actively developing. So what are some subtasks that have been identified? What are some projects that the team is kind of clearly running at? Things like wallet modifications, mobile wallets, etc.
Well, that's interesting. You brought that up. Renews it actually came out with something that's pretty unique so far in the field just recently, which was TxtZ, and it's essentially if you know about it or not, it's just a wallet that is accessible through any kind of phone that has SMS service. So you can essentially have through text, you can send somebody BitcoinZ and pay for or things, whatnot like that. It's
nice.
Things like that. There is some stuff that we're going to be releasing. It's not quite yet ready, but in the near future that will further the whole adoption for commerce in general. But we have not released any data of it just yet. But that's probably one of the major ones we have. We have I think we're one of very few altcoins I think that have a functioning copay wallet. So that's so you can have it on Android, pop it, QR code yourself, wherever you're at for businesses, and send funds mobilely. So there's things like that are out there for it that just add to it, and you'll be seeing more as we go along. So
nice. No, that's awesome. So it sounds like then in terms of fostering adoption, you're making sure that there are tools that the average consumer can get their hands on and start utilizing, not just like you were saying, trading and hodling.
Absolutely. That's the whole idea. And our probably, if now that we get to it, probably the main goal is to simplify that process, not only for the consumer, but for the business owner. Because that's another piece of it, which is completely overlooked a lot of times, is you got to get businesses to accept this. And if you want to do that, you got to take the scary away from it.
Oh yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean, and as much as it pained me to throw business, just hand it wholesale to Coinbase. When Coinbase Commerce dropped, it was like, hey, for e-commerce, man, this is the most visible thing. Yeah, right. Like I couldn't tell them anything else. I mean, I would have been even happier with like Shapeshift or Changely, right? Saying all right, there's got to be some way to shoehorn your business model into what they've got. But yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Cool, cool. So it sounds like the next big thing is going to be, well, can't really announce it yet, but right now you're taking steps towards adoption via easier payment.
Correct. Simplifying the process and incentivizing the use of the coin, and trying to, in as much as possible that we can, try to control the volatility in a way to where it's not so scary for a business owner to accept a payment from BitcoinZ.
Yeah.
Pretty
Awesome.
much.
Awesome. Okay. So let's talk about like let's talk about team a little bit, because we've got 4 of you on the call right now, and you mentioned really, really briefly, if I could get so Bishoy, I'm just going to like lean on you really heavily right now to give a quick like bio of everyone, just sort of like, and if you want to like completely like, if you want to completely throw somebody under the bus, I mean, I wouldn't even know. So you can completely make up backstories for everybody, and none of the audience is going to know any better. So, but if you wouldn't mind, like high level it for us. What has brought most of the, I say core development team, but what's brought the active development team to the project, would you say? And what kind of keeps somebody who's a developer on BitcoinZ, what gets them up out of bed in the morning early to be like, hey, I got like 2 hours before work, I'm gonna work on BitcoinZ, or get home, eat dinner or skip dinner, and then stay up late and say, okay, you know what, BitcoinZ needs this, I'm going to do this.
That's actually the key word, is need. I think all of us here, when we see a need, we have just a deep feeling of wanting to fulfill that need. And you see that with a lot of the community, whether they're developers or they're doing marketing or graphics or whatever. It's really fostered a community of need. And when there is a need, they fill it. And that's really neat. Myself, I love programming. And so even when I have a full plate, if I see a need for BitcoinZ where, Asic just came out, we need to fork, I'm on it, and everybody else. CryptoX is our finance guy. Hopefully I'm not putting a target on his head by saying that. But
yeah, right. Don't kidnap CryptoX. He's not worth torturing. He's not Satoshi.
I live in Texas, so.
That's true. You don't mess with that. But he's our finance guy, and actually all of our finances are pretty much run out of multi-sig wallets. So if CryptoX disappeared, our funding would be safe. But that's his thing. He does legal, he does finance, and so he saw a need and he picked it up and he took it on, and the community welcomed him and thanked him, and he does a great job with it. So just everybody, whatever they can do. I'm not going to talk about Renuzit being in jail. I'm just kidding.
No, man, this is why you do the interview. We need some flavor to this team.
But just whatever skills you have, and the community really appreciates whenever anybody does something that helps the community. It's the appreciation just overflows. And unfortunately, because it's decentralized, like, we really strive for decentralization. And what we say about that is we don't understand it. We live in a centralized world. Everything we do is centralized. So the concept of decentralization doesn't really make sense to us. And so it's a journey of exploration. And we explore it in our infrastructure. We explore it in our processes. We explore it in our blockchain. It's a journey, and we're all in it together. We're trying to understand how the future can be decentralized to where no entity takes too much power. And it's a fun journey. I've learned a lot about blockchain. I've learned a lot about just people in general. And because it's decentralized, there's a lot of people who want to take advantage. And that's just the way the world is. And so it's also a great place to learn about that. You learn, you don't just follow somebody's, words. You actually make your own decisions. And that's what we try to push the community to do. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. All right, so what I'm going to do is right now I'm going to pop open the BitcoinZ plus ZK snarks in decentralization we trust. This page right here, info.btz.rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll do a quick screen share here, and let's free flow this. Okay, so whatever observations you have for me as far as the different types of proposals here, go ahead and let's just jump in. Don't be shy. But right here, this is my desktop, and let me So our active speaker is going to be a little bit bigger. So as you make comments, we're going to be able to see who's talking. But right here, this is on info.btcz.rocks. And this is the current proposal list. And it is extensive, it looks like. Promotional videos, help wanted, events, campaigns, exchanges, infrastructure, wallets. All right. Whew. We've got a lot here. This is a dense page.
Yeah.
And there's some missing, I'll say that. I've kind of been doing post-fork assessment, so there is some stuff missing there, but it's interesting to keep track. This is our history book on how on the project, on who jumps in, and an announcement of, hey, we need you to jump in, kind of thing. And I think going back a little bit to what Equipool was talking about is that we all have different skill sets that we may decide on. One, we wake up and we get up and say, hey, I'm going to help with this. And it may not be necessarily something that we're extremely good at, or it is something that we're really good at. But it's all about a learning process and contributing to, obviously the same goal, right? We're all trying to push the limits of decentralization and, meet all those goals. So one day I can get up and decide, well, I'm gonna help Renewsit compile something, or I'm gonna, help Riz test something, or I'm gonna, however it just works, it goes together. But this here info really shows all of those types of things so that people can come back and see, hey, someone got together and did something, and they delivered a product, right? So this is the history book on it.
Very, very cool. And then you keep it clearly. I mean, it's out in the open right here.
Yeah. It gives you an indication of how much money it costs to run a coin. And I know people, you say they want to say, oh, you start a coin, but it's a massive investment. And most of the investment that we get is from people who donate basically will donate in either our native currency or BTC or whatever they've got. And so we've managed to get really, really far with what we've been given.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much all of us are in the same situation where I think we started out mining it, and so we didn't really get much. In the grand scheme of things, I don't have a huge percentage of BTCZ, in comparison to like anybody who's just coming in, from the street and putting in some money into either the exchange and buying it, or hooking up their miners and starting to mine it. And I'm not a big miner either. I've got one rig. It's got 4 cards in it.
Yeah, but they're all FPGAs.
No, they're not. I can show you they're not.
I'm messing with you, man. It's like, again, this week, man, all bets are off. You know what I mean? When somebody says they're a miner, it's like, what do you define miner, brother?
Miner. So I'm definitely a GPU miner. Really, truly, I literally built a rig and started mining BitcoinZ, and so that's how I got there. Where I started. But I've been in crypto for probably a year before that, before I started mining. But I was just, I was in it, I was trading, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to try mining. It's definitely, you start learning, like once you start mining, you start learning exponentially, kind of how it's all put together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that you bring that up. I mean, it's something that is brought up on the show with almost every project that we talk to. A project that we talk to where there's a proof of work element involved, mining, right? And I mean, I can't say it enough either. Mining, man, it's the gateway drug to crypto as far as really understanding, right? Like, boom, opening your mind or whatever. I mean, maybe I should call it the LSD of crypto, right? Open your mind.
Yeah, it's like, the next thing you know, you're creating algorithms. So
let's not get carried away here.
We're not kidding. We're not kidding.
I warned you. See what happened?
All right. So awesome. So I mean, right here, their proposals. Hey guys, walk me through this. And you know what? Yeah, walk me through this just a little bit. Be sure we haven't heard from you in just a minute here. So I'm going to keep going round robin, gentlemen. Yeah, the community wants to see everyone's face. now that we're all here, right? We're out in the open. But promotional videos, help wanted. How are you finding that these sort of to-dos, how are you finding they're responded to?
Well, I mean, it's up. You can go for it if you want. It's up to you.
You got this. This is your baby.
Yeah, I kind of launched this because there was not kind of, I did, because there was a demand, there was an uproar that nobody knew what was going on, and nobody wanted to kind of jump in and say, well, this is what we kind of need. It was a little early on, and it made sense to me.
And nobody actually bothered to look at the Trello.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Trello. That's funny you bring that up, because I do believe we tried Trello early on, but it still didn't end up, a go-to place for people to go and really look at it. So I created this simple site, and it started off as just letting people know to kind of keep track of the progress, as I mentioned earlier. But then we started deciding, well, you know what, people, if we want to make a community involved, let's have a submit proposal button, and let's get them to submit whatever they want. It started out as a really like a 3-question form on Google, and it's evolved much more. It's been great. It's been extended. We had somebody come in that does a lot of enterprise level project management, say, here, just use this form, and actually get people to think about what they're submitting, because we were literally getting one-liners, like you all should go and get some, I don't know, gamers involved from Twitch. Okay, do you have any contacts, or what is, whatever, what are you going to do? So we said, well, why don't you own it, and you can submit that, and we can track it for you. So as the project has evolved more, we've added more panels. So we started out with proposals and maybe a few other things to track. Then we said, we need some help with certain things. We need some testers. We need someone to help develop or keep the site up. Let's put this out there. And ever since we did this, we haven't had very many people come back and say, well, what have you guys done? Right? And if they do, somebody just links them that. And they're like, oh, okay, I got a lot to read now. But yeah. That's how that came about. And there's like I said, there's still, we need to add some more things there, because there's some more proposals on our forum. If you click on that submit proposal button, it should link you to our actual forum. And there's a template that you can use. There is a submission template.
Nice. And
this shows, the headings that you would need to have and think about. You want someone to think your proposal through. No more one-liners. Let's think about this. And they set a poll, and then everybody goes and votes on it. And part of the reason why it needs to be this open is because we have a structure on what's allowable, so to speak, as far as, decentralization is concerned. And then if they're asking for money, well, we have donations from people, and we can't just use people's money just because we feel like it, right? We have to ask the community that if it's okay.
Right.
So That's how this is all tracking all that information as well.
Awesome. That's phenomenal. I love that this is it's very transparent as far as what you guys are doing here. I love also that the way you're talking about it, because I mean, pay to play. The reality is in the world, that the startup world, right? Tech startup world, doesn't matter where you go, there is a pay to play element everywhere. I just feel like in crypto, it's a little bit overblown. You know what I mean? Where I don't know. Maybe I'm
check out those exchanges.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right about that. And I think that, like Renuza mentioned earlier, we've come a long way for being what they call in Silicon Valley grassroots, maybe, right? I mean, it's just, and a lot of the stuff comes from miners. Really, we have donation pools, and pools are setting the reward, in their configuration to just send it straight to the donation address, and
Nice.
That's great. I mean, it's really good. It's helpful, and along those lines with that, I think we're going to start pushing, as you mentioned earlier. Not a lot of people know about what we have to offer, and there's a long list of things we have to offer. And we're going to start reaching out to PR and submitting press releases a lot more regularly. That's for sure.
Yeah, very cool. Well, hopefully this is a step in the right direction. I think just getting some FaceTime, man, with the team. For me, it's been not only instructional, but it's been a blast so far. And we're only 30 minutes in, man.
Yeah, that's great.
So yeah, this is great. I love the transparency here, guys. Let's talk a little bit about. And I hate to make this big left turn because clearly I'm looking forward to those PR releases, right? I'm looking forward to the press releases that come from the core team. My aim, my drive, my goal is to be just as unbiased and dispassionate as possible when reviewing projects, which is why I generally don't seek out bounties, and I generally, I don't extort bounties from teams. My favorite ending question for most of the interviews is, "Hey guys, when are you going to pay me that that 25K you promised me for this interview?"
The angle that we come from really is we understand that it is a skill set that people have, that people contribute, and we know that, at least from my point of view, there is compensation warranted, but there's also at the same time, show your work and show what you do. Not that we're going to go say, hey, collect on it, but there's people that just jump in and do it, and we're like, hey, maybe they should get a little something, maybe, again, being grassroots, yeah, we can, those are the people we want. We want to motivate those people, right? We want them to continue to do what they do and continue to contribute to the progression of the project. And it's from any angle. It's not just coders, it's media people. It's social media people. It's, people that are troubleshooter, people that are, in our chat. I mean, graphics. I mean, that's been a big thing. The people that create the graphics for us. I mean, there's just so many different things, people jumping in,
Right. And that makes sense. I didn't mean to like talk down about people being really good at what they do. I just meant that within crypto, it seems like, man, the gatekeepers that just, they stop and they're like, no, you can't go any farther. And it's going to really, really cost you. And it's like, you know what? There's a much bigger community than just you.
Yep. It creates a barrier it's not conducive, I guess, to progression together. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, guys, let's talk a little bit about ASIC resistance, because this is like the topic, right? ASIC resistance, proof of work, all kinds of stuff happening. You guys are excited about what's happening with your project. I'd love to let you talk about it a little bit. And let's talk about just ASIC resistance in general, bird's eye view. Let's go through the list. Everybody, give us your thoughts here. Why does it matter? Why does it matter if we resist ASICs? Some people would argue it's all about total network hash rate, right? Difficulty is going to just rise as a response to the total network hash rate, right? So why do we have to resist ASICs?
Let me start with this one. So BitcoinZ is all about the everyday miner. We're targeting countries who are less fortunate than America, where we're fairly wealthy compared to most of the world. And letting ASICs onto the network pretty much cuts them out. Because the difficulty would rise so high that somebody with a 980 GPU or 760 GPU or even CPU would be just, SOL. It would be able to mine. So our goal is to basically, we realize that ASIC resistance would require fork after fork after fork after fork. And that's just a huge pain for the community to go through. So Renews It and a couple other people in the community put their heads together. Yes, Nicholas. Put their heads together and thought through, what can we do to really, not necessarily be fully ASIC resistant, but make it really hard for ASICs to make sense for our coin. And so that's where we moved to the Equihash 1445. That algorithm increases the memory requirements, which would force an ASIC to be a lot more expensive than the Z9. So it wouldn't make sense then to buy that ASIC when a GPU would be, just about as performant. Maybe if an ASIC costs $5,000 or $10,000 and a GPU is, much cheaper but gets a proportionate amount of the hash rate, then it makes sense to switch to that. And so it's not necessarily that this is incapable of, having an ASIC, but it's just not economically feasible. And that's kind of where we've gone. But as far as the community goes, yeah, we want the everyday miner. We don't want, huge farms. And of course, you can't get away from the huge farms. They're always going to be there. But we don't want to knock out the everyday miner also.
Awesome. Okay. And it sounds like the way that you did that was through Equihash 1445, affectionately termed Zhash.
Pretty much.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Cool. So let's talk about some other perspectives here in the group. Like what other answers do we have for that central question of why ASIC resistance matters?
The easiest response to that is it's in our community paper. You know, we
right.
we were kind of like
okay, I'm fact checking you.
Did we really say that? Oh yeah, we did. We did say that we were going to be always GPU mineable, and fight ASIC. So that's what happened. But it goes beyond that a bit. I think was music going to say something?
Oh, you missed it. It was at the bottom of the last page.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right
Founding
there.
principles. Everyone should be able to mine ASIC resistant.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So that's how that started, and of course the reason behind it is because we feel that big enterprise, with the big money can push out the production of those types of devices, and really own the way the hash rate works.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's nothing in terms of just, and I have to use the example of developed nations, right? Because I think it's kind of what I understand. But you look at disposable income and the average amount of discretionary income that the average person, based on median income from first world countries, what they can afford to invest in on a regular ongoing basis, between $50 to $200 on a monthly basis, based on the median income, is approachable for almost everyone. It's about the price of a GPU, or maybe what it should be.
Right.
And so you're looking at somebody that can add a GPU once a month. That should help scale the network.
Yes.
So I'm with you. I mean, economically, it should make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I also want to point out that when we chose Equihash 1445, there's some other people have done other variations of Equihash. I think there's like 1927. It actually cut out a lot of the lower end GPU miners. And so when we selected 145, we were trying to basically target the 1060 and above. And actually we turns out we can get to 1050 TIs as well. We weren't targeting that, but it's great that we can. And so, we want those small miners as well. And actually, I think people are actually able to CPU mine as well. It kind of evens it out a little bit more than it was with 209, which is like the current Zhash standard.
Nice. There's going to be a run on 750 Ti's, by the way. Somebody use the promo code Renews It over at Newegg.
1060. Yeah, probably need to set that up. Why not?
That's super cool, though. I mean, as far as there being good, mineable low-end hardware that has really good efficiency, then that makes perfect sense. Awesome. Okay, so and I have been hearing from a couple of the projects that were previously with the main Equihash proof of work algo talking about these two variants that have been sort of up for debate, and I've read about it in various different forums, but openly talking about it on the channel. This is breaking, right? A lot of miners, people who are diehards, right? They're kind of already aware, but then anybody who's what is it? Basement Bob, right? Doing a check on my miners on the weekend, and sort of like, do I have to switch the algo now? Yes, you have to switch the algo now. Basement Bob, this weekend change.
Well, it was last weekend for BitcoinZ.
It was epic.
It was interesting, and I run one of the pools, and it was Saturday night, U.S. time, and I still have 50 or more people that are still mining with 200 algorithms. So it's really sad, and I feel bad for all those people. And my pool is flooded with error messages in the logs because all those shares are rejected. But
oh man, it is literally the first day of summer today. It's the summer solstice today, and you're generating heat for no dang reason.
Oh man.
Yeah, and the sad thing is we announced it 2 weeks ago, and this is actually something that we've been trying to figure out how to get better at. But we announced it 2 weeks ago. We've been working on it. People have been talking about it in chat. I've had messages on my pool, and I still have a message at the top of my pool, but I guess people will set it and they don't check it for a week or two. I don't know.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm a big fan of Hive OS, and man, when I set up, I'm gonna do wallet set up there. I mean, I've got lists and lists of wallets. So sometimes just doing, different, what is it, comments and pool propagation across different wallets and stuff. Like, everyone works at their own pace.
Yep. True.
My hope is that it's the nice hash bots.
Yeah, forget those guys. Awesome. Okay, so it sounds like, I mean, with the team, there's clearly a strong spirit of ASIC resistance, and for several, what I think are really good reasons. So kudos to you guys. I had on the show, well, it's unreleased as of yet, but I interviewed with another team that was previously with the mainline Equihash algo and has forked. And I love that there is so much vocal support for it from your guys' team right here in the community paper, but then also being able to just stand with multiple reasons like, ASICs are dumb. But like, basically, they're probably a bad idea, probably net negative. So thank you for showing thought leadership as a team and being public about it. Let's talk a little bit about the future of proof of work in general. Like, where do you guys think it's headed? I mean, this is a little more philosophical. It might not be something that is necessarily geared towards a conversation about BitcoinZ proper, but just in general with crypto, where's proof of work headed?
I definitely think it's going to be around for a while. I don't see it. I mean, right now, some of the problems with proof of stake, and I haven't really been following proof of stake as much as I probably should. So I'm probably going to say something that's probably false now, but my understanding is proof of work is the most secure way right now to validate transactions. It does take 51% of the network, but proof of stake is like 1/3, right? Is what you'd have to have. So so to us, it just feels like that's the right direction for now. And if something does change with that, then I might like change my mind, but I don't know if that's what you want to hear.
Yeah, no. That's great. There's definitely perspectives on it. Like, and maybe we should throw. So let's throw another ball into play here, right? So let's juggle a few here. And here's the idea. There's a concept that's kind of taking my community at least by storm, and that is proof of useful work. And right, like it's a tough thing to approach because we need cryptographic hashing, right? It's a security requirement. But then there's also this reality that I've got a box full of 1080 Ti's over here, box full of AMD cards over there. They've got these very unique architectures that were custom built to do different stuff and do it really well. And some of that is really useful to humanity. And I'm not just talking about folding proteins or SETI or whatever else, like ray tracing, rendering complex scenes, pushing pixels, streaming media, right? And other kinds of distributed computing problems that could be thrown its way. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? As far as the possibility of there being hybrid proofs of work down the line that leverage this unique hardware?
Well, I think the limiting factor right now is the network. Some of the stuff that would make a lot of the stuff useful as far as the distributed systems, you have to have a high bandwidth situation, especially with AI. In fact, even the highest networks today aren't fast enough even in a centralized environment, maybe at Google or whatever, they aren't fast enough to basically release the technology. As far as useful work, it is kind of like a challenge. I think, I don't know, I think everybody's thinking about what could they possibly do. What could they possibly use the resources in the card that, aren't being used in some kind of beneficial way. It's just, it's definitely a hard problem, but I'm sure as soon as somebody figures out something that's a better use of it, then they would do it.
Yeah, they win all the bounties.
Yeah, they win all the bounties
from every project.
My concern would be more of, okay, so when you're mining, the whole purpose of the cryptography is to generate a hash that's valid for the difficulty. And so if you bring in protein folding or some other purpose, are you going to sacrifice on the security of the hash for the block? And so I'd be concerned about that, and that would require a lot of research to make sure you're not giving up on something to do something that's more useful.
Right. Right. And this is why it's kind of like this conundrum, right? We've gone to a platform that is so good at something else and also has high demand, right, in the consumer space. And we've got gamers cursing all of us, right, for our involvement in crypto at all, let alone mining. And and so it begs the question, like, is there any way to steer the ship back towards useful work? Is there any way at all, even if it's the tiniest bit, 5% of the network hash power, right? 5% of the network compute, rather, away from straight ahead hash power to some kind of hybrid model that, proof of effort or whatever. I've heard it put phrased that way as well.
I do kind of want to ask the question, and of course I don't know the answer to this. What are we so if you take all of Bitcoin, take all of cryptocurrency out of the equation, what are we currently spending in power consumption? What are all the banks using? I'm sure most of them are using mainframes from the 70s, 80s. Those can't be energy efficient.
Oh no, nor are they like cutting edge, right? If you want to, what is it? If you want the best paying job in the world, learn Cobalt, right?
Yeah, and I think without knowing that, and if the thing that we're trying to do is to replace kind of the currencies, the basically to make a new currency to not replace the banks, but to do a new kind of way of distributing money. Are the current systems consuming more power in reality than the Bitcoin network? I mean, I don't know. And until somebody can really, kind of tell us that it is, maybe it may actually be consuming less.
Yeah, for sure. I think where I'm going with the questions about proof of useful work, I don't think so. I think in terms of comparing it to the total amount of compute that is reserved for security on traditional financial institutions, I'm going to go on record as saying I just don't think it compares. I think that right now, because of proof of work models, there's no possible way that the data centers that are being used for traditional financial institutions are actively using as much as all of every cryptocurrency, every blockchain combined. I wouldn't believe that. You'd have a hard time convincing me. And so to be able to divert some of that effort and some of that loss into anything useful, just lean methodology, right? Like, are we even recapturing the heat that comes out? Are we recapturing it for closed loop turbine systems, right? Steam powered turbine systems to then feed the grid again. Something as simple as that. Very few mine operators are doing, because we're not really mapping the thermal signatures of mid to large scale mines. If we did, well, we might be thinking about steam powered turbine energy recapture systems. It's not super efficient, but it's something. And I don't think we're really innovating much in the space of proof of work. So whether it's physical or it's or it has to do with what the GPUs and maybe even the Asics after they're retired, right, are doing. So that's kind of where I'm hoping the conversation turns to.
Yeah, that's good. It's kind of a hard one there. I don't think we're, kind of like that. Who is that hedge fund guy that brought up the herd is coming? So I forget his name, but going off of that, the idea that I think that's what it is. The herd isn't here yet. We're still at the very cusp of cryptocurrency adoption, and maybe when a miner becomes, when you're building homes, Lennar or whoever else that's building homes out there decides to build, they actually have built-in mining rigs into the design of the home. Maybe then they'll start looking at that. But I don't think we've hit that critical mass yet to actually, start digging deeper into how can we use every part of the cow, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. But I just think if we continue with the arms race that we're doing right now, it's going to be like, okay, does your home need an incinerator? Because we can add some hash power, right? And how much organic material do you need to incinerate every single day?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can also solve it by just solving the energy part of it. If you come up with more energy efficient means production of energy, whatever. Man, that did not come out right. But if you can produce energy cheaper, and I think I guess for me, most of my power that I consume is either nuclear or hydro. We don't really have.
Wait,
you
personally have a nuke? Like
no, no, where I live.
Told you.
It's offsetted with turbines. I don't have a nuclear generator. No,
you weren't supposed to bring up prison. Stop.
No, but so it's I guess for me it's like, well, those are kind of renewable. So as long as it's renewable, does it really matter? I mean,
probably not. Probably not. I think you're right. So to bring my question maybe less away from power generation, because I get that. I mean, make it on. You got to crack up legs, right? Like,
with that, if what comes out of cryptocurrency is basically the power problem solved, right, for the entire world, and that came out of the need of having all of this energy usage, is that useful work?
I agree. Innovation that takes place while solving this problem is going to be one of the biggest things born of crypto. Blockchain, of course, itself, immutable ledgers, all the functionalities that come from side chains and that come from projects where they're platform level blockchain technology. The EOSs, bad example. The the NEMs, right? The augurs, all these other projects where like they're inviting development, right, on top of their blockchain projects. Notwithstanding all the progress that takes place there, I agree with you. One of the biggest things to come out of crypto is going to be this question of like, how do we maintain, how do we create and generate electricity and power in a way that is sustainable while still doing really cool stuff that's compute heavy? Totally agreed. Yeah. What I'm getting at when I talk about proof of useful work is like the actual cycle scavenging, right? Like inside of these devices, can we just make them do cool stuff while we're solving this problem?
Yeah, well, I think I don't know. As we have to do more to prevent the ASICs, you're having to use more of the GPU, and that's kind of like eventually, that's just the thing that you have to deal with.
One problem that has to be overcome is, you mentioned, what if we take a small percent of that compute power and dedicate it to something useful? The problem is if you build that into your node, that by default this is how it works, somebody's going to take that out and take all of it to mining. And so it's a difficult one to say, because there's a specific purpose for mining. It's doing a specific thing, which is hashing, transactions and all this stuff, trying to get valid hashes. You can't really mix anything else with that. At least I can't think about how to do that, and off the top of my head. And so you have to kind of dedicate compute power to it. That's a completely alternate function, and that code that would dedicate the compute power can be overridden, where most of the network is doing legitimately and actually is, if you will, donating to something useful. But those malicious ones that maybe run a farm where 5% is a big deal for them, they would take that out and consume the whole 100% towards mining. And
sure.
Much more profitable than everybody else.
Sure. I mean, it makes sense that anywhere there's value, there are bad actors. And that makes perfect sense. In the same way that there are mining outfits right now that are, like, ironically still attracted to 51% attacks, where it's like, the market cap of that coin might not have even been worth what you spent to try to execute the attack. Like, what gives?
It's not what it's about. When people attack coins, I don't think it's necessarily about making money. And most of the time, sometimes it is. It is a bounty in a way. It's the ultimate bounty, right? Like,
right. Self-issued, self-executed.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, guys, I really appreciate the diversity of opinions that we're having about this conversation. Proof of useful work for me is going to be something that I continue to talk to every coin project about, because I really feel like it is pie in the sky. Totally. Today, I think it's probably an intractable problem with the current issues at stake and the current imperatives that every blockchain has to face, right? Like it was Mark Andreessen says, don't die. Otherwise, all your roadmap is pointless, right? So you kind of have to deal with ASICs for now. And I get it. This idea of proof of useful work is a very lofty idea, a very utopian idea, right? Like, let the kids have their streaming AAA titles in 4K resolution, and our mining rigs will do it for them, or whatever. I get that. I really do. But I'm gonna keep at this. I think it's in my mind it's a worthy goal to start figuring out how do we combine needs of society, whether it's folding proteins or SETI or the entertainment stuff. How do we combine all of that with all this compute that we've just been like buying up in bulk as fast as we can, as fast as the silicon can be produced, and throwing it mining? Like how can we marry those two ideas down the line?
I'm really interested in seeing something, I don't know how long it's going to take to get there, but I have ideas. The industry that I came from is data processing heavy, and it's not just about numbers. It's about, presenting actual information to people to make decisions, actionable, intelligence, like they call it, in situations where people's either liberties on the line or the future of a company's on the line. And that's the kind of data processing I'm talking about. So
like large scale business intelligence is
it's large. Yes, it's usually, well, I mean, you can be small companies, but it's usually enterprise level data. I mean, I'm talking about like terabytes and terabytes of information that needs to be processed in a way that's presentable to certain teams so they can make decisions. And that is an industry that is lacking innovation. It's been a while. I think the last innovation that they've had has been maybe 7 or 8 years ago. Now they're going towards the whole AI thing, but that still doesn't take away the problem that you need to process this information. And data itself is inherently meaningless, right? It's all interpretation. Of course. So I mean, you need a way to extract that and present it to people, or AI or algorithms, so that they can help actual humans make decisions. Now, what does that take? It takes a lot of space somewhere, but I think there's a lot of there's a lot of pressure from maybe the way certain regulatory entities act upon on people, and so people want to distribute their information, and they want to maybe also go towards decentralization in a sense of, we run nodes all over the world for our projects, right? For our coins. But where's the data? Where's the data center? Where's the machine that it actually sits on? 60%, or I don't know, 40% in AWS, and 20% in Vultr, and 10% in DigitalOcean. I don't know, whatever.
Right.
It's still not distributed, right? So distributing the use case.
Yeah, I totally don't have any master nodes on Linode, by the way, if you're asking.
There you go. There's another one. So I think the use cases come from using, distributing that, and actually, like you're saying, more than just hashing for, transferring wealth or coins, right? So it's definitely something I'm actually looking to kind of talk to some really, 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 up there people, and bring, the BitcoinZ team into it too. They don't know that yet.
Okay. Well, would you settle for talking to just some crypto jackasses?
Oh,
because I'm trying to get the ball rolling here is what I'm saying. And we have a few other teams that have talked about, they've expressed interest in having ongoing, you're going to love this, ongoing public conversations about the future of proof of work.
Always. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm very interested in that. I think that's what I'm saying. The industry I came from, I immediately saw a need for it. Now developing it, and then, determining the barriers, that's a different story, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Right. Yeah. Again, the high level statement is like, okay, we want world peace.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. How do you get there? Yeah.
Right.
That's the fun part, though. That's the fun part for people like us, and other people that you speak to, right? In the space and beyond, so.
Yeah, very, very cool. Well, hey, definitely appreciate it. Definitely, guys, appreciate the enthusiasm, appreciate the diversity of thought and opinion, but also the thought leadership when it comes to ASIC resistance, because it's been too easy, right? It's been too easy for a couple of companies. I'm not going to name names, but it rhymes with Bitmain. It seems like it's just been like they're like printing money, right? They're printing money, but via lithography. So So there needs to be, there's definitely a need for what you guys are doing. Really appreciate having you guys on the show. Appreciate you being game to just talk about whatever. Let it be kind of a free flow conversation. Let me really detour heavily into some of the stuff where it's like, wow, that's a nice idea, Seth. Thanks. So appreciate you guys being game for all of this. Again, most important question. This is serious business. And I warned you before. So when are you guys going to transfer me those 100,000 BTCZ that you promised for this interview?
It's only like $2. So.
I was going to say, on that note, I don't know if this has been brought up yet, but the max supply of BitcoinZ is 21 billion. So, and the beauty of that is that you can go buy a coffee and not have to do 0.00001 transaction. And that was actually like one of the things that I fell in love with is, you know, I've been messing with crypto for so long, and it just annoys the crap out of me that I have to deal with, you know, such small numbers. And I see BitcoinZ, and you can actually make, you know, real trades that I can remember. Oh, I bought that for 21 or 34 or whatever. That I can remember. And so, yes, sure, we'll give you 25,000. It's nothing.
Man, I'm trying to make a point about not being bribable here. So for anybody from the BitcoinZ community who's tuned into this particular interview, just for your information, this is part of an ongoing series of interviews with various founding teams, with various development teams, where I make that joke at the end of the interview. Let me just ask you guys publicly on the record, did I furnish you a list of questions before we started the interview?
No.
Did I offer to let you edit my video afterwards or let you see a screen or copy before I publish?
Nope.
Right. And did I extort a bounty before we set a time to do the interview?
No.
Okay, but I'll do it now. Okay, so
yeah, maybe during's a different question.
I do have a request if you could put some devil horns on top of Renuzi's head for part of the video.
Done, sir. All right, guys. Really appreciate having you on the show. I look forward to having you back. It sounds like, are we unanimous? Would you guys be willing to come back on for some panel interviews? I've got Christy Lee Minahan from Ogata Company. She wants to do a regular segment where we do like various team interviews. Is that a no?
Sure.
No, we talked to her.
Are you guys all prog POW'd out? Is that what's going on here?
You know, we actually, we're actually probably going to look into it after after the dust, you know, all the things settle down. We probably need to re-engage her, at least, you know, start talking about it, maybe help her out with some of the development if we can.
Nice. Yeah. I can't guarantee you she's not going to be like, because she's bullish on it, right? Like it's her baby right now. So I can't guarantee you she's not going to be talking about Prog POW the entire time. But she wants a segment on the channel. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it'll be fun. People loved the interview that we did. So
yeah.
Cool.
I'm definitely for talking to people. You know, I love conversation. So positive, you know, conversation. So, and it's all been positive. I'd say that. So yeah, I'd be open to
awesome
whoever being on it. You know, just the way it goes. I'm very free flowy. I can just kind of talk about anything pretty much. So if I know enough about it, I guess I'd say. But if I don't, I'll ask questions. You know, that's just the way I am. So.
Very, very cool. And let me throw that also for anybody who's watching right now. Are you a BitcoinZ supporter? Be vocally supportive down in the comments. Are you a detractor, or maybe you're new to the project? You're a skeptic? Ask good questions. Don't just be a jerk. Don't just be a troll. So thank you for tuning in to the very end, guys. BitcoinZ team. Love the interview. Love our time together. Can't wait till the next time we have a chat. I should also ask. I'll ask offline about projects that maybe we shouldn't commingle in the same interview. But I can't wait to get you on another chat with some other thought leaders in the space. It's done me good, certainly, to talk to you about your project. I hope it's done the community good to see how incredibly community-oriented you are with a focus on decentralization, a focus on issuing bounties, but with community consent to decide which bounties are worth paying, to where, for what kinds of projects. Just really good, strong community governance. Love seeing projects like this, and it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for reaching out.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Hey guys, Seth here. I wanted to personally thank you for watching this interview all the way to the end. You're the reason that I go through the trouble of setting up these interviews, and it means a lot to me when you watch all the way to the end. I know it means a lot, of course, to the projects that I interview too, because it gives them an opportunity to talk about their strengths and really for them to tell you in their own words what their projects are all about. And I know that's why you show up. I've been getting a lot of positive feedback from the community about this interview series, and it means a lot to me. You're the reason I make these videos. So if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. Please click the bell icon so you're notified when stuff comes out. And consider joining us over on the Discord server. We have a lot of great conversations going on over there about mining, about cryptocurrency in general, about rig troubleshooting, GPUs, FPGAs, ASICs, different pools you can join, plus a wholesaling area where if you have old equipment, you can buy and sell. It's pretty darn cool. I appreciate your support. You're the reason I make these videos. I love your face. See you in the next one.